Hey guys, this is Doran, CEO of Culture Matters. Today we're going to talk about selling with your brain, not your ego. What does that really mean? Well, I'll give you an example. We're going to write 3 words down. Reptile, limbic, and neocortex. Wow, what the heck does that mean? I mean, that's really complex. So the goal is to take that complexity, make it as simple as possible. So you're walking into a retail store, you could be by yourself or with a friend. It's like last minute Christmas shopping. We just had Christmas, so I'm sure we can all relate to that. I know I can. You wait till the last minute, you're in a rush. You walk into the store, and all of a sudden you hear that squeal of, can I help you? I think we've all been there. And the first response is what? No. Now, you're there in a rush, you don't have a lot of time. You're in a store that you've been to before, but you're really not sure where you're going or what you're looking for. Even if you know what you're looking for, you may not know where it is in the store, right? So the associate says, hey, can I help you? Now they're asking you a question and you don't know them. So right away, what do we say? No. So well, what does that really mean? What does that mean? Because we logically know we need their help, or at least we know we need to know where to go. But we tell them no. How does that make any sense? Well, on a biological level, a sale just didn't happen. You sold them on why you don't need their help. So now they're like, all right, I'm not going to help this person. Because our reptile brain, which is our instincts, popped up. What does that mean? Well, before we think about things, we actually make decisions through our reptile brain. Fight, flight, or freeze. And I'm going to add a 4th F. You can finish this one at home on your own. F-U-C. I'm not going to finish that one. Fight, flight, or freeze. Now, if an associate at the store's job is to help you, and that's what a business is, solving a problem. Your problem meaning you don't know where to go, but you've got to buy something for your friend, your family, or whatever. If their goal is to help you, and they ask you, do you need help? And you say no, like I said, doesn't make much sense, does it? So did we fight them? No. Did we freeze up and get all weird? No, it didn't happen, no awkwardness. And I hope we didn't do the last F. But what did we do? We said, no thank you. So what's an alternative approach, that sales associate, and let's put ourselves in their shoes when we're selling something, which could be any business, right? It's just getting people to really believe in what we believe. What could we have done? What could that salesperson, that sales associate, could have said to overcome the reptile brain, subdue it, let you actually hear them, you actually like them, feel like you know them, and trust them? Like you hear that a lot often in sales, like, no trust. What does that really mean? Well, biologically, it means your limbic system, or the right side of your brain, your emotion, was aroused. So let's use an example. You're in the movie theater. The previews come on. It's going to be a scary movie. The preview doesn't say, this is going to be the scariest movie ever. You're going to be afraid. Someone's going to die. The first guy that pops out is going to get sliced. No, what do? They show you a story. They paint a picture in your mind. They overcome your beliefs, your reptile brain, and they arouse emotion through the limbic system by telling a story. So you believe what they believe. Example, you walk into the retail store, you're going to shop, you need help. The person doesn't say, hey, do you need help? They say, hey, I'm Jay. I just started working here. I know how hard it is to find stuff. Are you looking for X or are you looking for Y? They had the right body language, the right tone, and they didn't come too close to you. They actually stood within maybe 15 to 20 feet, stepped back as they talked to make you feel more comfortable on the reptile brain level. So you didn't want to fight them. You didn't want to freeze. You didn't want to do the last one. Well, actually, you might have been more likely to do the last one if you're in a bar, right? But you didn't want to fight. Why? They overcame your reptile brain. They aroused emotion through the limbic system. And when they gave you an alternative choice, you just had that gut instinct. Think about the gut instinct. What is that really? The gut instinct is emotionally you feel like that movie preview, it's going to be an awesome movie. You just had that feeling. Not because they told you, but because they painted a picture in your mind through the right kind of storytelling, overcoming the reptile brain, arousing emotion, and logically, this is our logic, the neocortex. You made a decision to see that movie or to go with that associate. They didn't just ask you an open-ended question. So that's selling with your brain, not with your ego. So lastly, what are the takeaways? We know why, neurologically. We know what's going on. Don't just ask a question. Introduce yourself, right body language, right tone, not too close. Ask questions so they want to work with you. And alternative choice. Work through all three brains. What does that actually look like? I'll give you an example. Agree or acknowledge. Empathize. Gain information by asking questions. Learn how to spell. Just kidding. Rinse and repeat. Now, that's the first phase. Think of it like the first phrase. Someone says to you, I don't want that. I hear you. I see where you're coming from. I mean, if I was you, I would do the exact same thing. I'm just curious, if this did work, would it make you feel better about what you're about to do? What the heck did I just say? Well, it's not important what I said, but how I said it. I agreed, which lowers the reptile brain. I empathized, which invokes a feeling of trust through the limbic system. And I'm going to ask questions to get my potential customer or my friend or family member, whoever it is I'm having a conversation with, because that's really what a sale is, getting them to believe what I believe. I'm going to inch them closer with asking questions, gaining information to make a logical decision to buy whatever I like for them to buy. Now, it's not that simple. Oh, I'm going to agree, I'm going to empathize and ask questions, all of a sudden everyone's going to buy from me. No. However, with this context of speech and enough rinse and repeat cycles, what does that mean? After we get to the question, they're going to give you an answer. Now, it's not what you say to someone, it's what you say back to what they say to you. I'm going to repeat that. It's not what you say to someone as much as it is what you say back to what they say to you. Not what you say to them, it's what you say back to what they say to you. So for example, you agree, you empathize, you ask a question, and they're still disagreeing. We don't try to squeeze in our point. We're going to repeat the cycle. We're going to acknowledge them again or form agreement. And remember, agreeing and acknowledging or agreeing and forming agreement are two different things. Because we may not agree. That doesn't mean we should just agree. That would be manipulative. We need to what? Hear them. Listen to understand their point of view, not to reply. In Buddhism, the fourth law is the opposite of what you know is also true. So think of that. Whether you believe that or not, it's okay. The opposite of what you know is also true in their mind. So form agreement, empathize, ask questions. The goal is to bring them closer to where you want them to be, which is here. And we're here. We want to bring, maybe with one cycle, we'll get here. With another cycle, we'll get here. And another cycle, we'll get here. What I've found personally is there's no specific context, but there is an understanding of these three brains so you can overcome the instincts, arouse the emotion, and help them justify with logic where you want them to go. And I'll give you another example. You agree, you empathize, you ask questions, and what I usually do is I use storytelling, like analogies, similes, and other quotes, other stories that they could relate to help them get closer where I want them to be. The last thing that I'll ever do is make a point prior to them already coming to that conclusion on their own by me forming agreement, empathizing so they like me at a biological level, at least feel like they do, and logically, through the right kind of questioning, help them understand what I want them to think, if that makes sense. And then making a point at the end of it. So for example, you're right. Maybe you're right. Right now is the worst time to do that. And I see where you're coming from because a million people are always calling me and asking me to do this. I'm just curious. If you did do it and it did work, is that something that you'd want to happen? Meaning, would you want it to work? Yeah, exactly. And then I'll tell them a story and that would make them realize that this is really what they want to do. And then no matter what they say, I'd acknowledge them, I'd empathize, they ask another question. That's the essence of the last little bit I want to get into today, which is, we need some room, scripts. What is a script? A script are the questions that we need answered to know if we can solve our potential customer's problem. What does that mean? Well, if a business is the solution to a problem and the profit is the margin in between, then these questions on the script are the questions that we need answered so we know if someone is a potential customer or not. Meaning, what is a customer? Someone that has a problem that we could solve. So if we have to think about these questions, how can we focus on listening to understand, not to reply? So their reptile brain is overcome and their limbic system is aroused and they think, oh, yeah, this guy actually hears me out. Exactly, we cannot. So if we are not completely immersed in these questions, if we do not make these questions who we are, we won't get the sale. Because in life, you don't get what you want, you get who you are. And that follows me into the last thing I want to talk about, which is the 4 levels of consciousness. So the 4 levels of conscious competency, what does that even mean? Okay, well, let's start with this. How many movies have you seen in the big screen where the actor forgot their lines? None. You didn't pay for that. They're on the 4th level of consciousness, which we'll get to, but we're going to start with the first. Think of American Idol. The first couple episodes, our favorite part to watch. Why? Because the people really believe that they're good at singing. That would be the first level of consciousness. And the reason I bring this up is because we all hear it. Scripts, they're fake. They're contrived. It's not me. It's fake. I'm trying to sell somebody, basically. It's not the right thing to do. And that's what the myth that we're going to debunk today. Unconsciously incompetent. Excuse my spelling. Unconsciously incompetent. American Idol. I think I'm a great singer. They stand up, they get ridiculed, and then they figure out they're not really that good. That's when you don't know what you don't know. You don't know that you're not good at something. The second level is consciously incompetent. So let's think about American Idol again. After everyone ridicules them and they realize that mom lied to them about their singing abilities, they might start waking up. Not all. Some might hold steadfast that they're great singers, but most realize that they're not that good. This is where most salespeople quit the business. Why? They realize what it's going to take to be great, it's not really worth it. Whatever limiting belief stops them from continuing. So unconsciously incompetent was where most people start. I don't know that I'm not good. Consciously incompetent is where most people quit. I know that I'm not that good. And you know what? Basketball isn't my sport anyway. I'm going to stop practicing. Imagine Michael Jordan, who wasn't good at basketball in the beginning, who found out that he wasn't that good. Imagine he never practiced before people got to school and after they left. The third level of consciousness is consciously competent. What does this mean? You can be a millionaire right here, consciously competent. You know enough to be good. You're in the business long enough to know what questions you need to ask, just not sharp enough to be the 1%. You can be a millionaire being consciously competent if you don't give up. What does that mean? Well, the Pareto Principle, 20% of the 80% of results, or 80% of the results is taken and done, achieved by 20% of people that stick in the business long enough to achieve it. They have the sheer grit. They may not be the smartest. They may not be the most passionate. They just need to stick in the game. They know enough because they're there. Think about this. You go outside and you're living on the East Coast. You get all the seasons. You get the rain, you get the summer, you get the snow, you get all of it. You stand outside and you just stand there for a whole year. For 10 years, what's going to happen? You're going to get the snow, you're going to get the rain, you're going to get dry, because life goes on. Think of that as most millionaires in this country. They're in business long enough, they persist long enough that they become a brand in the commodity that they're selling. They're consciously competent. They're good at roofing, for example. They have 50 employees, and people call them because they've been around forever. Therefore, they make money. Now, if we want to be great in anything, think of yourself as an actress or an actor. What do? They memorize their lines because they know they're not going to get what they want, which might be the role or the $10 million check. They know they're going to get who they are. They're going to get what they are. They're going to get whatever comes after the ability to convince the audience that they are the character. So if you want to be the top 1% in your business, you want to sell the most, we've got to become unconsciously competent. Think about when you started driving a car. You had to think about backing up and parking. There's actually tests people get anxiety about. Fast forward 10 years of doing it every day, what happens? Well, everyone thinks they can text and drive, and they may not be able to do that, but we think we can. We have the belief that we can do it. Why? We are unconsciously competent at driving. So if we become unconsciously competent at that, and all it does is get us to our job, why not become unconsciously competent at the questions that we need to answer, yes or no, to know if we can help someone or not? That's the essence of every business, solving someone's problem and profiting in the margin in between. So the next time that you ask yourself, why do I need to learn this script? Ask yourself this: do you really deserve this customer if you aren't unconsciously competent at what you do? Thanks for watching, guys. This is Doran. Sell with your brain, not your ego. I look forward to any questions. I'd love to answer them. You can find me at Doran fan page or knowledgeseekers.com.